Hello students, today we are covering lesson 3.5 on solving two-step equations, so follow along in your textbook beginning on page 110. Let's start with example 1, solving a two-step equation. We have negative 3x plus 5 equals 2. Then it wants us to go back and check our solution. So to solve a two-step equation, we need to undo the process of order of operations. So normally we would add or subtract last, but in this case, we're going to add or subtract first. I need to get rid of the constant here, the plus 5. So I'm going to use the inverse operation on both sides to start to isolate my variable. So subtract 5 to both sides of the equation. Let me make that a little neater. And 5 take away 5 cancels out, so we're left with 3x equals negative 3. Now we isolate x. To undo the multiplication, we divide both sides by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by itself is 1x, or simply x. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. So it looks like x equals 1. Now we need to go back to check our work. Negative 3 times x, which is 1, plus 5 equals 2. Now follow order of operations. Multiply first. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, plus 5 equals 2. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. And since 2 equals 2, we know we are correct. Now I'd like you to try on your own numbers 1 through 3. And for number 3, I've given you a hint. You need to use distributive property first and then continue to solve it by undoing order of operations. Okay, example 2, solving a two-step equation, also found on page 110. So we need to solve x over 8 minus 1/2 equals negative 7 over 2. So again, we undo any addition or subtraction first. So I'm going to add 1/2 to both sides to start to isolate my variable. Negative 1/2 and positive 1/2 cancel out to 0. So we're left with 8 over x equals, now we have negative 7 plus 1 is negative 6 over 2. Negative 6 divided by 2 can be simplified. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we have 8 over x equals negative 3. Now we can isolate x by multiplying both sides of the equation by 8. To undo the division. 8x divided by 8 cancels out to 1x. Negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. Now let's go back to check our solution. So instead of x, we have negative 24 over 8 minus 1/2 equals negative 7 over 2. Negative 24 over 8 is really negative 3. Negative 3 minus 1/2 equals negative 7 over 2. I'm going to rewrite this to get a common denominator. I'm going to rewrite this as 6 over 2, since 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 6 minus 1 is negative 7. Keep the denominator the same. And since negative 7/2 equals negative 7/2, we are correct. Now I'd like you to try numbers 4 through 6 on your own. Take a moment, pause the video, and work out these solutions. Remember to go back and check your work. Okay, on example 3, we're going to practice combining like terms before we start to solve. So we have 3y minus 8y equals 25. Since both 3y and 8y have that same variable raised to the same power, we can combine them. 3y minus 8y, look at the coefficients. 3 minus 8 is negative 5y equals 25. And now we simply just solve by dividing both sides by negative 5. Negative 5 divided by itself is 1. 1y, or y, equals negative 5. Now let's check our work. 3 times negative 5 minus 8 times negative 5 should equal positive 25. So we have negative 15. Now negative 8 times negative 5 is positive 40 equals 25. Now let's combine this. Negative 15 plus 40. They have different signs, so I'm going to subtract to find the difference. And the difference is positive 25, which is equal to positive 25. We are correct. Now, example 4 is a real-life application problem. We have a roller coaster, and it says, the height at the top of a roller coaster is 10 times the height of the starting point. So look at the picture, just pause for a moment. I'm going to show you where we start. We start over here, which we call H. H is our starting point. And at the very top of the roller coaster, it's 10 times the amount we started at. Then it says the height decreases 100 feet from the top to the bottom of the hill. So then we have a decrease here. And as it's decreasing by 100, it says the height at the bottom of the hill is negative 10 feet. So that's what we're going to set it equal to. So let's highlight a few parts of this information. In our details, we have H represents the height. And we know the roller coaster is 10 times the height. And then it decreases 100 feet. So we're going to subtract 100 feet and set it equal to our ending point, which is negative 10. Now we can start solving. To solve, we undo the subtraction that we see. So that's our first step. So we add 100 to both sides. That cancels out. And we're left with 10H equals 90. Now, we need to divide both sides by 10 to isolate the variable. So when we divide by 10, we get H equals 9. So therefore, the height we started at was 9 feet. And that's our starting height. So starting height is 9 feet. Okay, at this time, I would like you to complete number 7 through 10 on your own, solve the equation, and go back and check your solutions. And number 10, what if in example 4, the height at the bottom of the hill is negative 5 instead of negative 10? Find the height H. So go and try that problem, pause the video, and show your work. Now, your exit ticket today, I just want you to choose one question to answer and explain it in 2 to 3 complete sentences. So the first question says, what does it mean to isolate the variable term? Number 2, what are like or similar terms, and give some examples. Or you can answer number 3. Explain how the solutions of these 2 equations are similar. 4x minus 5 equals 7. And compare that with 4/3 x minus 5/3 equals 7/3. So go ahead and take a moment to pause the video. When you're done, I hope you have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.